All right, welcome back. Definitely got a better setup. Instead of like just sitting in front of a TV, I'm now sitting on a couch, and we've got the board back up for the South America LCQ. Hopefully that means the thumbnail will be better as well. But let's dive into it. So I'm actually pretty excited for this South America LCQ. As you can see, no import teams. There's literally one import player in the top 16, and he's kind of on a content team. I'll get to him in a bit. But South America didn't really even have to defend their own region. The Middle East did. Team Rock ended up taking that one, so they make the World Championship. In terms of South America, I think there's like three main contenders, and we'll get to them. But let's go through in matchup order. I got the board set up the same exact way. Let's get into it. The first seed is Amethyst. This is Wisty, Sad, and Knight. You'll probably recognize Sad and Knight as they are multiple-time LAN attendees. They have 33 points on the season. This is the same trio that's been here all season. They have the number one seed in Group A. Most notably, Amethyst took down Furia in the Swiss stage of Open 5, and then they took them to Game 7 in the same event in the playoffs. So that was really when they started turning eyebrows. They've been a solid team throughout SAM most of the season. I think they ended 5th on points. You can probably do the math if you look at the rest of the board, assuming 1 and 2 ended up going to LAN, getting the most points, obviously. But 3, 4, 5, they all stuck together, so I think they're 5th on points. They'll be facing off against Fofuchos, which is Ovitine, Nacho Sky, and Rudes. This is an entirely new trio. Definitely players that have been around. Nacho Sky was on Latino Heat, which had a pretty solid split during the Raleigh Major split, that is. Should it be too difficult for Amethyst in this round one? So would expect to see Amethyst to move on. The next matchup is Sunset versus Cappuccinos. I think Sunset's pretty favored in this matchup as well, so it'd be an exciting matchup to see Sunset versus Amethyst. Sunset is your CRN, Card, and Kaio roster. Card and Kaio, you guys probably definitely recognized from their time on Furia. CRN, definitely newer to the scene, young up-and-comer in South America. They have 31 points on the season, so they've definitely been hanging around as well. Meanwhile, the Cappuccinos, this is actually the same trio as at least Open 6. They might go a little bit further back than that, but I can't remember. I actually don't think they do. They might go back to 5, actually. They have 2 points on the season. But this is Delivery, Crest, and Kidjaum. I'll be honest, I haven't heard these guys all that much, so they're still definitely newer to the scene. Also, this is not their official logo. I just decided to draw that. Down to the 2 versus 7 matchup, Overlooked. Definitely been around a decent amount. This is Ian Pinheiro. I should probably do a better job pronouncing that. I think it's Portuguese, but I at least know a little bit of Spanish. Unbroken and Pan. Pan was on that Chilean FIFA E roster. He comes in replacing Dapluto, I believe that is. So Overlooked, this squad, or at least the 2/3 of Ian Fierro and Unbroken have 6 points on the season. Definitely names that have been around the South American scene for quite a bit. So it's not too surprising to see this roster go 3-0. Pan was also on Latino Heat last season with Nacho Sky, as I mentioned, in Fofuchos. And they're against the Os Plexonautas. This is probably my favorite team name because this translates directly to the fish astronauts, I think. It's like a fish astronauts thing. I think it's based on a TV show, but I also decided to draw this for fun, where it's a fish in space. And I'm very much cheering for this team because my wife very much likes, the ocean and fish and like marine study. And my name is Martian Turtle. So this is Firewall, Kazazin XD or something like that. And then Cry. Cry is your one import. He's technically from Portugal. And so is that really like an import? It's like you're still speaking Portuguese. Like it's not anything to lose sleep over, that's for sure. Definitely not a full import team. But yeah, they're definitely more of a content team. Firewall 154. If you guys are familiar with the olden days and the one scene, he took down First Killer in a big upset way back when. He did the team streams for Furia, I believe, this year. You can normally catch him doing South America watch parties. So he's definitely around, normally not playing. So it'll be excited to see him on the pitch. And then the 3 versus 6 is Moonrise versus Os Últimos Hombres. Os Últimos Hombres translates to the last men. And then I think it's also in parentheses, literally, as part of their team name. Moonrise is KNS, Yandy, and Klaus. These guys are the same trio. They have been the same trio for at least this split. I don't think it was Klaus there in the first split, but I'm blanking on who it was instead. It was Yukio, actually. It was Yukio. When Yukio transferred back to Europe, Klaus came in, rejoins Kianis from their time on Exceed when they almost made land together. These guys have 25 points throughout the season. It's the same trio as the second split. Os Últimos Hombres is PJ, Piel Gabriel, and Drinkas. It's a new trio entirely. PJ retired midway through the split. He's retired once before. He attended the Season 7 World Championship with INTZ. So he's been around a while, but he's at least playing in the LCQ. That being said, let's hop over to Group B. You've got Godfidence as your number 1 overall seed. Not too surprising there. They have 40 points. They're technically South America's 3 seed in the rankings. It's the same trio of Astramic, Bems, and Suko. They got Kaushi as their coach. They had Fossey as their coach pre-season and through most of the year as well, but Fossey retired from coaching after Event 4 of this year. They had an org there for a second, but I don't think the org paid them, and so they no longer are sponsored by that org. They're back to Godfidence. They're up against 86 Esports, which is Twist, Brenox, and Alpa. This is the same trio as at least Open 6. I believe that's when they were signed. It is 86 Esports, so they are an organization. And I think they signed this trio before Open 6. It was a little bit of a surprise that they didn't make it past the Swiss stage in that Open, but they are past the Swiss stage here for this LCQ. Difficult quadrant to be spawned into, however, because you've got Genesis and TBS Esports, both very much worth their salt. This Genesis squad is Mazakin, Davitrox, and RMNN. RMNN is a Argentinian player who is getting looks with the, not quite the Argentinian team that went to FIFA E, but he was like replacing AJG or something like that when AJG wasn't there. I'm remembering something like that. He didn't play with the FIFA E team, but he was playing with 2/3 of the FIFA E team for some off-season tournaments. Davitrox comes in. He was on that Latino Heat squad as well. He replaces Misery, also an Argentinian. But the Genesis squad, at least the 2/3 of them, I believe they made top 6 in the most recent event. They've definitely been around South America a decent amount. They have 14 points, so not a squad to be trifled with. And then the 5th seed is, at least from this group, is TBS Esports. This is the Brave Soldiers Esports. This is Royales, Devisano, and Leo DKN. Also coached by Tander, who those who have been around for a while will know Tander as a guy who pulled off a pretty sweet backflip against Cloud9 at the World Championship. Didn't end up winning, but it looked really cool. These guys have 12 points, but this is just 12 points throughout the second split because this was an entirely new trio for the Raleigh Major. But they're the 5th seed. I think all 3 of these teams are really good, so it's a very tough draw for 86, as I was saying. But if we drop down to this lower part, we've got Corinthians, which is Drops, Razebull, and Brad. I don't know why I thought I pronounced that wrong. They have 39 points, so they're technically your 4 seed out of South America. Same trio as the rest of the season. Actually, not as the rest of the season, because Razebull came in the second split. He was with the Complexity first part, obviously. But they've been a really good staple around South America. They're one of the favorites for this event. And they're up against Pineo Malandro. They've been around South America for a bit. It is a new trio, but I've seen this team name pop up in top 16s throughout the entirety of the year. This is Fruken, I guess, Eris and Esfira. And then down to Seed 3 and Seed 6. Seed 3 is Saibao. I've heard that so much. I think I'm too old. I'm not picking up on the references anymore. I don't know. I know it's a reference. I just don't know what to. But this is Agus, Thunder, and Starwinds. This is an entirely new trio. And they're up against True Neutral Academy Black. I just wrote True Neutral because it's easier. Again, you'll probably recognize the True Neutral squad if you've been around for a while. They hosted that original Complexity roster when they moved over to North America, were dominant in the RLCS X time period. This is Kevin Nacho, Race Plasma, and Folly. Folly comes in to replace Piel Gabriel, who I mentioned is on Os Últimos Hombres. They have 5 points throughout this season. So that is your South American board. I mentioned there were 3 favorites. I think you're looking at Amethyst, Godfidence, and Corinthians. Or really, it seems you kind of expect to run away with this. I think Sunset could be a dark horse contender. Definitely a team to keep an eye out. And then Moonrise is also not bad. If it's outside of those 5, I'd be floored and it'd be insane. Even if it's outside of the 3 of Godfidence, Corinthians, and Amethyst, I'd be pretty surprised. In terms of who I think is getting out of each group, I'd got Godfidence, Genesis, TBS, and Corinthians. And then from Group A, I'd have Amethyst, Sunset, Overlooked, and Moonrise. Probably pretty straightforward in Group A. So, yeah. hopefully that all makes sense. Hopefully you all enjoy the new setup. I think this is the kind of setup that I'm going to roll with for whiteboard videos for the next few months, which would include the off season. So yeah, just a little bit of time, casual, chill on the couch. We'll do some watch parties on the couch too, because it's a nice at-home family vibe. So hopefully you all enjoyed. Hopefully you all learned something. I'll catch you guys for the South America qualifier. It'll be a lot of fun. So see you guys then.